Shri Krishna. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mind survives when there is comparison. In the absence of comparison, mind cannot survive. As a result, if we observe, whenever we are interacting with the world, there is always some kind of comparison or the other. And this comparison is the fuel, the food on which the mind is becoming stronger and fatter. Therefore, these two things are to be clearly understood. One is a comparative knowledge and the absolute knowledge. So, the comparative knowledge is in the field of relativity. For example, health is in relation to the disease. Disease is in relation to the health. Good is in relation to the bad. Bad is in relation to the good. Loss is in relation to the gain. Gain is in relation to the loss. So, there are these two aspects. One is the relative existence, and second is the absolute existence. Now, the relative existence being comparative, it cannot be perfect. And the absolute being without any comparison, it has to be perfect. See? For example, space is absolute. North, east, west, south, they are relative. East is east in relation to the west. North and south are north and south in relation to the east and west. Now, if you sleep with your legs facing to the south, you will die. If your house door opens to the south, all your money will be drained away. See, nobody says, don't face your legs to the space. See? So, wherever there is relativity, there is comparison, there is world. In the absolute, there is no comparison, therefore no world. It is first principle. Now, second principle. In the absolute, relative is only imagined. Yesterday also I told this point. If these basic things are clear, meditation is a matter of a snap. So, in the absolute, relative is imagined. Absolute is man. Husband is relative. How the husband is born out of a man? There is an imagination. One foolish girl thinks. Isn't it? So I think he is fit for me. Who else could be for you? So a husband is born. Now who is a husband? Husband is an imagined entity superimposed on the man. So man is the reality, husband is an superimposed imagination, and therefore he is a relative. Now be attentive. How can you get absolute happiness from the relative? See? Don't expect absolute happiness from the relative. Relatives will give you relative happiness. Therefore, in the overdeveloped countries, they go on changing husbands so they can have real relative. This is, the earlier was better, this is useless. Let me try another. See? So the principle is, in the absolute, relative is imagined. Now, third step. Imagination is done by whom? Space has nothing to do with the north, east, west, south. It is we, the human beings, with the limitation of the mind, say this is east. Now see how fun it is. Which is the east? That in which direction the sun rises. Where the sun rises? In the east. So the east is because of the sun, or the sun is because of the east? See? Therefore, all relativity is imagined. One step further. I become the knower in relation to the known. See? So, this I has become knower in relation to the known. Now, if there is nothing to know, there is no knower. So, knower and known, these are in relation to each other. Governor and the governed, they are in relation to each other. When by God's grace the wife dies, what happens to the husband? He cannot exist without wife. See, where he has gone along with the wife in the purse. Then what is left behind? The absolute reality, the happy man. Isn't it? The world can be classified into two categories. There are two types of people. One category is happy people, the other are married. So, once you understand this relativity and then the absolute, now the choice is yours. Whether you want to live in this world in relation to something, or you want to live in this world in spite of the world. See, try to understand this point. Miseries have come. When I cooperate with the miseries, I become Mr. Miserable. Miseries can be attributed to somebody or something, but we are miserable by our own choice. Isn't it? Select, tuck, enter, and be miserable. So, when the miseries come, be very attentive. When the miseries come, and you refuse to be miserable because you don't want to get entangled in the field of relativity, what will be your experience? You are in the midst of the miseries and yet you are not miserable. See? This is the only difference between the wise and the otherwise people. Miseries are common for both the people, wise as well as otherwise. On the contrary, otherwise people have to face more miseries because their miseries plus the miseries of the otherwise people. Yesterday or sometime, Therefore, I now stop allowing anybody to come to my house. When somebody came, Swamiji, I have to come, please don't say no. I said, okay, come for 5 minutes. 10 o'clock up to 12:30 non-stop. As if I am responsible for your miseries. Who told you to get married? I didn't tell you. Like many people come and say, Swamiji, can you help me in stopping smoking? When you started, did you ask me? No. Now you want me to do your job? And that is how my prayers are answered. Somebody phoned, Swamiji, this is time for your lunch. I said, say, I have to go for lunch. Halfway cut and get out. Friends, the more you get involved in relativity, the more miserable you are. Remain in that absolute status that you are born with. To understand this is the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So what the teacher told us yesterday, when he says, Yo mam ajam anadim cha lokamaheshwaram vetti saha asammudaha. He who is, be very attentive, these are Sanskrit words, don't go to the traditional translations. He who recognizes himself as unborn, be very attentive, unborn, with the miseries, we are born as miserable. With the happiness, we are born as happy. With the depression, we are born as a depressed one. With something good, we are jumping out of our skin. Constantly we are being born and we die, born and die. Instead of that, stand apart. In this manner, when you are able to recognize yourself that in the midst of the changes, you are that unchanging reality, in this way, Lokamaheshwaram, and then alone I am the controller, the boss, the dictator of this whole world. And who is such a person? Asammudaha samarteshu. He alone is wise. After having said this, then to go and reach this absolute from where we are. Where are we now? We are buried under the load of relativity. Now let us start our journey from the relative to the absolute. First step, we were told yesterday, 3 things. If you don't know, never mind. Go and listen and collect the knowledge, the information. Second thing, don't keep the information stored in the hard disk. Interact with that and reflect over it and convert the gathered information as your own property. See, when a doctor goes to do the operation and the patient is lying there on the operation table and the patient is very, very afraid. Doctor, I don't know, this is my first operation, please do something good. Doctor says, don't worry, this is my also first operation. See, I am not afraid, why are you afraid? Now, if it is the first operation of the doctor and if he suddenly forgets, I don't know, where are the lungs? They are down below or up below? Or up. You cannot afford to have a borrowed knowledge if you want to be wise. Borrowed knowledge never makes you wise. So first of all, you listen, Shravanam. Thereafter, interact with that knowledge and convert that information as your own property. Any moment you are woken up from the sleep and ask your name, hey, what's your name? Wait a minute. The computer is starting. No. Instantaneously, by default, we tell our name. In the same manner, this knowledge must become our own immediate property. Now, third thing is asammohaha. Buddhir jnanam asammoha. Now this spiritual influenza should not come as an attack for 3 days. And afterwards, again the same old tobacco and the tuna and lagao and eat. That's it. The same thing. This happens with maximum people. When they go to Ganga, they become Ganga Das. When they go to Jamuna, they become Jamuna Das. And ultimately, they are Devdas. There has to be unbroken involvement in living the spiritual life. See, if you see the lives of the great scientists, Eureka was not discovered in a laboratory. The scientist in that scientist was working 24 hours. See, spiritual life is not with a makeup and with all the kinds of malas in the hand and like olden days they used to do with the thermometer. Same way, because it gets entangled in that thela, there are many things. It's not only mala. Coins are there, bidi is there, matchbox is there, and mala is there, and Krishna is also there, his brand, Krishna brand bidi. Spirituality is not a part-time profession. It is a full-time involvement in life. See, the whole life will change. Buddhi jnanam asammoha. Now after this information is collected, you are now committed to lead a scientific life. Then how to begin? So first, commitment is discovered. Now, the first technique is told. Kshama. Yesterday I explained all this. I am just repeating it so that it becomes your own knowledge. Now, somebody can do something harm to me if that somebody is recognized as other than me. Please understand this point. Sometime you must have experienced some of our old friends. They come from backside and give one, "Arey yaar," and you get such a terrible hit. You monster, who is there? And then you come to know, "Arey, he is my langoti yaar." The moment you know the one who gave you a blow is your really, really great friend, all the pain and the misery disappears because you have discovered someone your own. Then what you have done? You don't have to say even, "Hey, I have forgiven you." See? Friends, when we forgive, we grow spiritually. And the forgiveness is never brought on the lips. Those who say, "I have forgiven you," that is the highest sin. When our teeth bite our tongue, will the tongue say, "I have forgiven you"? No. Because the teeth and the tongue, they may be in duality, in relativity, but the owner is absolute. When something goes in between the two teeth, it is the same tongue which was beaten, goes and starts digging it out, and when it comes out, aha. See? Therefore, when we forgive, what happens, you give up the mean-mindedness and you grow into the absolute. There is one shlok in Sanskrit which tells, "Ayam nijo paro veti ganana laghu chetasam." Those who always talk this kind of language, "This is mine, that is yours. This is mine, that is yours." Ganana laghu chetasam. They are counted in the rat-hearted, mice-hearted. These mind reserves. You go in the overdeveloped countries. Please come for dinner in La Bella Hotel. So you go there. And when you go there and you lift your plate, please pay $1, then you can take that 1/4 of pizza. If you don't pay, you don't take. Because we are overdeveloped. See? Overdeveloped ego, not the country. See, friends, Ayam nijo paroveti. This is man, that is yours. It is not a good sign. You are getting caught up in the relativity. And udara hridayanam tu. And those who have grown to the stature of perfection, vasudhaiva kutumbakam, for them everything is ours. And once you start living in that knowledge, nobody is our enemy, nobody is our friend. See? Then the whole world becomes our own home. And such a person will never be influenced by small little things. Friends, those who want to run a business of billions of dollars a month, they will not go on doubting on the driver. I have sent him to fill in the petrol, but I think he must have filled half a liter less and taken the money. This kind of dirty thinking fellows can never go anywhere except running a pawn shop maximum. Think. You have to grow. And this happens by this simple technique, Kshama, forgive. See, when you add a teaspoonful of sugar or salt in a cup, the taste is very conspicuous. When you take the same teaspoonful of sugar and go to Manas Sarovar and add and stir, not recognize. So the more you grow, the more you go towards the absolute, the problems of relativity disappear. And what is the problems of relativity? I versus you. When you have not said this thing to me, unless you say, I am sorry, I am not going to talk to you. You know, in Delhi it happened, one of my friend, 2 brothers, 1 sister. The brother who got the sister married, everything, she was staying with him all through life. A Punjabi family. So according to his capacity, he got the wedding cards printed and all that. Now this other brother got inspired. She is my sister also. And my sister's cards, such cheap cards, 20 rupees? No, it will be bigger one. So he got the same thing printed, 50 rupees per card. In that, then the sequence of the names change. And then a great fight, I versus you, you versus I. And the marriage is one side and his 2 brothers are fighting. I was there as a referee. And when they are fighting, I said, look here, on his behalf, I touch your feet and please forgive him. I mean, you don't say like that. I said, you are barking like dogs. I am ashamed to call you human beings. Is this your love for your sister? I versus you, you versus I. Kshama, forgiveness, is the manifestation of the absolute reality through the relative dirt called as the human mind. See how you grow spiritually. Kshama, Satyam. If you have to talk only about the reality, about the truth. Or talk about nonsense. And for that nonsense, the best topics I tell you. All the jokes of the world are the most sensible nonsense. When you are able to, today, somebody sent me the proof. One of my book is coming. What is the name? Mauji Vakya. It will be this size book. On each page there will be one sentence and a cartoon. And there, this was written, one sentence was written in Hindi. Because mauj can be only in Hindi. In English can be only suffering. So, it was written there. Those who do not have the sense of humor, they don't require any special effort to become miserable. They can be miserable very comfortably, any place, without reason, by default. And those who have this sense of humor, even the God cannot make them miserable. God becomes miserable. So, Satyam, if we have to talk about, let the truth alone be spoken. And please remember, speaking truth does not mean you should tell me what is the truth, where you have gone. I have gone to temple, and afterwards you come to know, oh, he has gone to drink. Now you spoke to me the lies. This is not lie, this is not truth. Talking about the world is a lie. Giving a straight lie about the Lord is the truth. Please understand. When talking about physics means what? You don't talk about chemistry. Satyam means talking only about the Lord. And anything you talk about the world, it cannot be the truth. One day after my lecture, one lady came and she said, Swamiji, I like your lecture very much. For one reason, I resent. I said, I don't care. No, you have to care. I said, okay, I care. What next? Do you know what you said? I said, I don't remember because I bluff and I forget. She said, this is what I don't like. I said, what is that? You say your lectures are bluff? They are so good. How can you call them bluff? I said, that is the secret of the bluff. A perfect bluff is never recognized that it is a bluff. How come? I said, look here. The truth is that Name vidu suraganaha, Bhagavan has told. The truth is that which cannot be comprehended by the organs of knowledge, organs of speech, or by the mind. And therefore, whatever you talk about the truth, it is a lie. And the world being an illusion, you cannot talk the truth about the illusion. Can you do the analysis of the water, mirage waters, whether it is fit for human consumption or not? You give a beautiful report. Will it be valid? No. Therefore, the moment anybody starts talking, he is a bluff master. And the real bluff masters are all the Mahatmas. Because they know that what they are talking is a bluff, and yet they go on talking. Ascharyo vakta kushalosya labda, ascharyo jnata kushalanushishta. Kathopanishad says, is it not the wonder of wonders? All the Mahatmas said you cannot say one word about the reality, and yet they go on talking. This is fun, friends. Satyam, Kshama Satyam, then Damashamaha, control over senses and the mind. When these things are being practiced by us, this practice will slowly loosen the shackles of relativity, and you will enter the kingdom of the absolute. Friends, in the world of relativity, this I repeated 100 times and I will keep on repeating. In the world of relativity, there is no problem that can be solved. In the absolute, there is no problem that needs to be solved. Very important. So if we are suffering in this world, how to get out of it? Get out of the relativity. How to get out of relativity? Don't become serious with any relation. See, the life will change. Satyam, Kshama, Damashamaha, Sukham, Dukkham, Bhavo, Bhavaha, Bhayam cha, Bhayamevacha. So all the pairs of complements, please remember. Let us change the usage of the word. Normally, Dvandva are translated in English as pairs of opposite. sukha, dukkha, joy, sorrows. It is wrong. It is pair of mutual complements. Life has no meaning without death. Joy has no meaning without the miseries. Gain has no meaning without the loss. See? Husband has no meaning without the wife. So, they are not pairs of opposite. They are pairs of mutual complement. Death complements life. If there is no death, life will have no meaning. See? If there are no miseries, joy will have no meaning. Therefore, sukham dukkham, all the pairs of mutual complements are supported by the same absolute. When we discover this, both of them, they become equal. See, in a family where there are only sons, and another family only daughters, third family 3 sons and 1 daughter, fourth family 3 daughters and 1 son. If you take the individual ratio, sex ratio among the children, one place 1:0, second place 0:1, third place 1:3, fourth place 3:1. But if you take the totality of the human population, there the sex ratio is 1:1. Whenever you grow out of the shackles of relativity, all the mutually cancelling pairs are null and void. Therefore, in a house, when a person dies, a great loss. In the totality, when people don't die, then there is a problem. So it is good people die. Then only the balance is maintained. Therefore, sukham dukkham bhavo bhavaha bhayam cha bhayamevacha. Ahimsa also we have seen yesterday. Then samata, equanimity. See, equanimity is what? See, this is all just to be recognized. It is not difficult, for example. And equanimity is our essential nature. My eyes are equanimous to all the colors. So when I see a yellow color, eyes are able to see. Then I see a dark blue color, eyes are able to see. Then I see a white one, the eyes are able to see. Why? Because the eyes are equanimous to all the colors. See. Ears are equanimous to all the sounds. It is not that you are listening only my words. You are also listening to the all nonsense around. Because ears are equanimous. Same is the case with the mind. It is not the mind thinks only about the holy things. No, it also thinks about the unholy things also. And because of the holy thoughts or unholy thoughts, mind is neither holy nor unholy. Mind is mind. The thoughts are holy or unholy. Go one step further. The consciousness supporting the waking dream and the deep sleep. Towards all the 3 experiences, consciousness is the same. Go one step further. The consciousness is supporting the experiences of the living beings as well as the inert world. So from the consciousness point of view, consciousness and inertness, they are one and the same. Therefore, samatha, equanimity means recognize this your own nature. It is not possible to be non-equanimous. It is not possible. The whole world is existing only in this equilibrium in existence. Earth is suspended, all the planets are suspended in this space only because of this perfect samatva, perfect balance, perfect equilibrium, perfect non-repulsion or any ambiguity. Once this is understood, you come back to your own self. Ahimsa, samata, tushtihi. Tushtihi is contentment. In the 2nd chapter, Bhagavan told us, Apuryamana achala pratishtham samudramapa pravishanti yadvad Tadvat kama pravishanti sarve sashanti mapnoti na kama kami. He who is like the ocean. Ocean is what? Absolute. A river is relative. One river versus another river, separated by a piece of land. Ocean is one homogeneous mass of water. And therefore, there is nothing that can be added to the ocean to make the ocean big, or there is nothing that can be taken away from the ocean and make the ocean dry. But this happens with the rivers. See? In the same manner, be very attentive. Tushti means gain does not add anything to me, and loss does not take anything away from me. Meaning, this is possible only under one condition. Only in the infinite, plus minus any quantity is equal to infinite. In the finite, plus minus any quantity becomes finite plus that quantity. See? Because infinite is only one without a second. And that one without a second is absolute. The more we remain established in this vision and then play the game of life like the space plays the game of south, east, west, north. Like the water plays the game of ocean and waves. In the same manner, let us play the game of husband and wife, children and parents, friends and enemies. And let the divinity be uncorrupted in spite of this game of life. It is so simple. Samata tushtihi, then tapodanam yasho yashaha. Now, tapasya. Tapas means what? Austerities. Normally by tapasya we have very peculiar notions. See, I'll give the principle what is the meaning of tapasya. Tapasya means voluntary sacrifice is called as tapasya. Suppose somebody is standing on two legs comfortably and you tell him he is doing tapasya. We don't agree. The other fellow is standing with one leg folded, one leg only on the ground and one hand in the air and one leg down. Why he is doing tapasya? The other day I saw in a newspaper or somewhere one Mahatma hanging himself by a rope, not with the neck unfortunately, but hanging with the hands. And last 15 years this Mahatma has not been sitting. You don't sit. Trees don't sit. Horses don't sit. Horses stand and sleep. No? But to that person, we go big tapasvi Mahatma. And somebody is sitting comfortably and enjoying every moment, indulgent Mahatma, not tapasvi. See, our understanding of tapasya is suffer. Please remember, suffering is not tapasya. Then what is real tapasya? So, when you have got two legs, you give up one leg, stand on one leg, tapasvi. When you have sufficient food to eat, you don't eat, you suffer. And then I don't take food, I don't take water, and I want to continue without food and water. And by that, what do you want to do? I want to prove that I am unnatural. God has given food to eat, not to suffer. Think. But that becomes a peculiar notion of tapasya. If you really want to do tapasya, I will give you a technique. The more sacrifice you can do, the more austerities you are practicing. And what is the highest sacrifice? The sacrifice of our ego. Ahamapetakam nija vibhanakam mahadidam tapo ramana vagyam. If we have really sacrificed our ego, we have practiced the highest tapasya. Friends, if you have really sacrificed the ego, you know what happens? You refuse to be miserable. More the miseries, stronger the ego. Lesser the miseries, weaker the ego. No miserable entity, you are God. Please remember, dispassion, giving up everything and remaining frustrated like a python, that is not realization. Let every moment be a moment of celebration. And we are able to express that absolute bliss through us in spite of the world around us. If you are happy because of your wife, you are a henpecked weakling fellow. If you are happy in spite of your wife, you are a really gem of a person. Just only change the attitude. Tapaha, the real tapasya is this: refusing to be miserable in spite of the jungle of miseries around is the highest tapasya. Tushti, then tapaha, then danam. Danam is charity. Now this charity is the most funny thing in this world. You know what happens? In charity, our value for the wealth is intact. When I give somebody 100 rupees, what is in my head going on? Maybe poor fellow, at least he can buy something and live. So the value for the money is untouched in my mind. See how important it is. And the second thing, when we give charity to somebody, we have that notion that I am giving to somebody. Friends, please remember, the giver is a beggar and the receiver is the king. The day you will realize this truth, your whole attitude will change. And this I learned from a small girl in Pune, somewhere in 80s. I went to some place, about half a dozen or a dozen children. Swami, these children will chant 15th chapter of Gita. So we have to suffer. So I said, okay, start. I was feeling hungry. So they started, sitting in a proper manner. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhva Moola Madashakam. Don't worry, I am not going to chant the whole one, my God. So we just started. So they started. And after the whole thing was over, there was one girl, so beautifully sitting, without any disturbance. The eyes were closed like the petals of a flower, no tension, not one single apabhramsha, perfect pronunciation, and chanted in such a beautiful rhythm, no apaswara, no apabhramsha. And when all that was over, I have forgotten my hunger. She was doing so well. Others were also there, doing all right. So when you are happy, you give something, isn't it? So that day I had one chocolate in my pocket. 5-star Cadbury's chocolate without the worm. Do you know a bad news? The chocolates have worm inside. Bad news. Do you know the good news? You get a Coke free with the chocolate. Now what is the good news in that? Because in the Coke there is a pesticide. So the worm which goes inside is taken care of by the Coke inside. Pesticide kills it and you remain healthy. Narayan. So I thought, let me give this chocolate to this girl, she'll be happy. So I said, hey, come here. She came. Very composed, dignified, calm, undisturbed. I said, close your eyes. She closed them. I said, now I give you something as a gift. You please take that. I put it on her hand and I said, now see. She opened. Swamiji, I don't want. Flatly refused. I said, why? Mummy told, don't eat all rubbish. I was having a thought, I am going to give a chocolate to this girl and the girl will be very happy and therefore I will be happy. See, we become happy by invoking happiness in others by corruption. See, when you do charity and make others happy, you are introducing corruption in the spiritual field. Please understand. That day I discovered, I said, hey, I was thinking, I can give something to somebody and make happy. That was the highest discovery. You can give something to somebody if that somebody is ready to receive. In that case, what happens? In our Taittiriya Upanishad comes, Shriyadeyam, Bhiyadeyam. When you are giving something to somebody, you have the fear in your heart. Am I not insulting by giving this thing to him? See? Therefore, those who receive the gift, they are undergoing tremendous torture. You don't know that. One example I will tell you. This happened in Rudraprayag. I was going in a bus with a group of people and we had to stop somewhere on the bus stop for a break, cup of tea and all that. So I also got down and standing there below the tree and all that. And you know, in India, we are by default able to do namaskar to the Mahatma, doesn't matter who is he. So when I was standing there, one after another, people started doing namaskar, namaskar. Now, will you run? So I was standing there, karo baba, karo. And there was one doctorni from medical college in Delhi. She said, Swamiji, I want to ask you a question. I said, come on, what can I do? Ask. So many people are doing namaskar to you. You must be feeling really great, is it not? I said, wait a minute. Then I told those people, villagers, unknown people, full of love and devotion to the Lord. I said, hey, please stop. Then in the local language, Hindi, I told him, I said, look here, she is my mother and you should not do namaskar to a son before the mother. So I also do her namaskar. When you do namaskar to her, it comes to me also. Okay, I touch her feet in the presence of hundreds of people. Now the whole crowd started diverted. She says, Swamiji, what are you doing? I said, enjoy, enjoy. People are doing namaskar to you. Try this. To receive is not so simple. But those who give, what an arrogance they have. I have given this thing. I can do this thing. If we are able to do something, it is His grace. It is nothing is ours. If this is understood, then we are maturing from the relative to the absolute. How much the Lord has given us? Did He ever claim? No. Then only you are able to get out of the clutches of the relativity and grow into absolute. Ahimsa samata tushti tapodanam yasho yasha ayashaha. Sometime in this world we win. We should be ready for the defeat also. Honge kamayab ek din. When that day will come, that we will not tell. Maybe after election, no. This world has both the things. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. Sometimes what we say should happen, sometimes what others say should also happen. Yasho ayashaha. Once this attitude is taken, then your equanimity is intact and you are performing from the absolute platform. So, bhavanti bhava bhutana matta eva pruthak vidaha. So, bhutana bhavaha. These different expression of all the beings are because of this absolute reality which is supporting the total relativity. See how important it is. So bhavanti bhava bhutana matta eva prathakvida. After having told this was from the effect point of view. Please remember, water, ocean and the waves. In that, ocean is the cause, waves are the effect, and water is beyond the cause and effect. Please understand this. Water is beyond cause, the ocean, and because of that, water never gets drowned in the ocean. Water is beyond the effect, the waves, therefore when the waves break, nothing happens to the water. But on this water, the absolute cause and effect, ocean and wave, is superimposed. So from the point of view of the water, there is nothing like ocean and wave. But if we are caught up only at the wavelength, if we are caught up at the wavelength, then we will be all the time having 2-3 phenomena. Phenomena number 1, competition with other waves. See? Second thing, fear of the ocean, the cause. But when the wave transcends the wavehood and discovers the essence of the wave is the water, thereafter there cannot be any competition with other waves, and there cannot be any fear of the ocean. See? In the same manner, we, the created beings, at the level of the effect called as the waves, and therefore our life is a constant struggle, I versus you, competition, jealousy, anger, frustration, and challenges between the waves, among the waves, and the ocean, the creator. Oh God, please forgive me. Oh God, please give me this thing. I am very God-fearing man. When you remain as a wave, you have to be afraid of the ocean. So our life story is this: either mutual competition or constant fear. As long as you are living in mutual competition and perpetual fear, you are living death. You are not living life. The only way is get out of this relativity and come to discover you are that absolute water which is expressing the glory of water is the ocean. And the glory of the ocean is the waves. And therefore, the ocean is not against any wave. And therefore, the water is not against the wave and the ocean. Get this point. In the same manner, when you start living as absolute reality, these two things will happen: mutual competition, jealousy, anger, vengeance, cruelty. Everything will disappear. And second thing, you will no more be leading a life of fearful existence. All the religions are tying us down under two shackles. Shackle number 1, fear. Shackle number 2, guilt. Those who are living under these two bondages of fear and guilt, they are the slaves of the relativity. Get out of it. From the absolute standpoint, there is no one else to be afraid of, and there is no one to compete with. What a joy it will be. Bhavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva prathak vidaha. Is it not our experience in the dream? The same mind becomes the God. The same mind becomes the tiger. The same mind becomes the I. So the mind, the tiger, is following me and trying to bounce on me. Then I go to Kali Mata, look at your car, it is hitting me. And then the Kali Mata from a remote control stops the car and thank God I am saved. This is all the game of the same mind. See? So when you are awake, after you are awake, will you have hatred for the tiger? Will you have a prasad to be offered to the Kali Mata? All are the same stupid mind. But when this is known, when we come out of the dream, in the same manner, when we wake up out of this waking dream and come to discover our absolute status, thereafter, Vijanan Vidwan Bhavate Nati Vadi, the knower of the absolute never insists for anything and all the differences are dissolved. See the beauty of this life. Therefore, Bhavanti Bhava Bhutana Matte Eva Prathak Vidaha. Everything, all the differences begin from me, they remain in me and they come back to me. He who knows this truth, how can he have any other experience except the bliss absolute? Now this is from the relative standpoint. Now the cause of this world is also the same reality. Like if waves are the water, the ocean is also the water. But the cause and effect relationship is between the ocean, the cause, and waters, the effect. And the reality between the cause and effect is the water. Therefore, in the water, you can say there is neither ocean nor wave, or you can say both ocean and the waves are two abuses given to the water. See, when you abuse somebody, do you get garlands or what? You get a blow. In the same manner, though Paramatma, the Supreme Lord, is pulsating, dancing, enjoying, expressing every mood in this world, but we forget the presence of the divinity and we start seeing the differences and become the friends and the enemies and call the God as the world. Calling the God as the world is the highest sin because of which we suffer. We are the absolute reality. Instead of recognizing that reality, we start calling ourselves as Papoham, Papa Karmaham, I am the most sinful one. Calling the God as the sinful one is the highest sin, and therefore we suffer. Think, friends. Therefore, here after the effect part is taken care of, now the teacher takes the cause part. He says in the 6th verse, Maharshaya sapta purve chatvaro manavastatha madbhava manasa jata yesham loka ima prajaha. Before the waves are formed, ocean is required. So, in the same manner, when we look at the world, the question comes, who created the world? Because anything that we see in this world, we imagine that it is an effect. And wherever it is considered as an effect, as a creation, naturally the question comes, who is the creator? And how the whole creation is managed. And therefore, from that point of view, he says, Maharshaya sapta purve. There are two types of things which are holding this world together. One is called as pravrutti, involvement. Second is called as nivrutti, withdrawal. life is a perfect balance between involvement and withdrawal. If there is only involvement without withdrawal, life is impossible. You cannot keep on awake all throughout your life. You have to sleep. If nowhere in the satsang, but sleep. Very important. So, one is the involvement, second is the withdrawal. Imagine if I keep on talking, don't stop, then you will start walking away. So the lecture becomes meaningful when it begins and by God's grace it stops also. Then there is a beauty in life. See? Therefore, life has these two aspects, pravrutti and nivrutti, involvement and withdrawal. So, those who are promoting and guiding the path of involvement pravrutti, they are called as rishis. So, Maharshaya Sapta Purve, in every kalpa, in every manvantar, in every eon, there are 7 of them, Atri, Agastya, Angira, Pulasya, Kratu, ityadi. And with every cycle there are different types of rishis and they are always 7 in number. Maharshaya Sapta Purve and Chatvaraha, and the 4 are the teachers of the path of renunciation or the path of withdrawal. And which are those teachers who are the path of withdrawal? They are the Sanat, Sanat Kumar, Sanat, Sanatan and Sunandana. These are the 4 children of the Brahmaji, and the Saptarshi are the 7 of them. These 2 are guiding the total world on the path of involvement and renunciation. Now third, management is Manavastatha. Now, how to lead the life of a grahastha, a married one, how to lead a life of a brahmachari, a student, how to lead a life of a vanaprasthi, a VRS. VRS means vanaprasthi. Who is a vanaprasthi? Who is told a voluntary retirement, but it is actually a compulsory retirement. The glorified word is voluntary. Like, in one place I went and they were having some program, but no volunteers were available. So I said, hey, without volunteers, how can you do the job? Swamiji, don't worry, you come. So I went there. Then that man, he said, you come, you are volunteer, you are volunteer, you are volunteer, you are volunteer. Volunteers are not dictated, they come on their own. Isn't it? So, when this path of involvement is to be walked, there has to be rules and regulations. Now, these rules and regulations are given by the Manu, the one who is giving the code of lifestyle. Therefore, Manavastata. So, how a grahastha, brahmachari, vanaprastha should lead a life, this code of conduct and lifestyle is given by the same reality expressing as the Manu Bhagavan. And what should be the lifestyle lived by the sannyasi or the renunciate, that is also given by the same authority called as the Manu Bhagavan. Now see the total picture. From the cause point of view, there are 2 lifestyles. One is the lifestyle of involvement, pravrutti. Second is the lifestyle of withdrawal, renunciation, nivrutti. And they are managed by the code given by the Manu in his Manusmriti. And with this totality, the individual life is lived. See, the government, the governor, and the governed. So they are also from me alone. Maharshaya Sapta Purve Chatvaro Manavastatha Madbhava Manasa Jata. And how are they? Who are they? Their minds are fixed on me. Be very attentive. If we are having our attention on the people whom we are governing with the biasness in our mind, our governance will be nepotism. It will not be governance. But if I am loyal to the principle which is expressing through me, then I will never have any biasness towards all those people whom I am governing. See, please remember these two things. Once I was talking to this management people, and they have asked me the topic about the leadership. So there these beautiful thoughts came. A leader is a bird who has got two strong wings. One wing of dispassion and other wing of authority. If there is only dispassion without any authority like we cannot be the leaders. Another thing, there is only authority and no dispassion. Our politicians, they cannot be leaders, they are suckers. See, these two things were combined only in one person in our country, Mahatma Gandhi. He had dispassion on one hand and the authority. When that one frail question mark used to call one call, the whole country is to get united and work for him. So he had the authority, and the authority was earned by him. It was not by a shortcut method of reservation. No. Please understand. When a leader does not have the dispassion, he starts utilizing the authority for the selfish purpose. And when a person has got all the dispassion but no authority, he can do nothing except give lectures. How important it is. Therefore, these two things are brought here together. Maharshaya saptapurve chatvaro manavastatha. So the authority is the reality, the Paramatma. And those who are executing those authority, they are also the messengers of the same Lord. And therefore, Madhava Manasa Jata. So all the Rishis, all the Sanat Kumaras and the Manu, their attention is on the absolute. And the rules are always formed from the absolute standpoint and not from the relative biasness. When the traffic rules are formed, they are not formed for a particular community, isn't it? Traffic rules for the upper caste, traffic rules for the minority, traffic rules for those who don't have cars. No, they are same. How important it is. And then only it becomes meaningful. So this beauty is also introduced here. So, Maharshaya saptapurve chatvaro manavastatha madbhava manasa jata yesham loka ima prajaha. So, this total world of cause and effect is rooted in me. So, I, the absolute, is the foundation from which the total relative world of cause and effect has manifested. Be very attentive. Therefore, looking at the water as the medium of test is the understanding of the water as the absolute. Looking at the same water as a medium because of which many tastes are possible. Sour, sweet, pungent. That is the expression of the absolute water in the relative front. Ras is the absolute, and variety of the ras is the glory, the relative. So from the water's point of view, absolute and relative, they are not contrary to each other when and the same. But between these two, unless the absolute is, relative has no existence. And the relative is nothing but the expression of the absolute. The father is the absolute, the children are the relative. If I love the father, will I hate the children? If I respect and love the Lord, will I hate His creation? So, recognition of the absolute as your being is the state of yoga. And recognition of the absolute in the relativity is the state of vibhuti, the glory. This is what the teacher says here. Etam vibhutim yogam cha mama yo vetti tattvataha saha avikampena yogena yujjate natra samshayaha. This is the avikampa yoga, a rare kind of yoga. Kundalini yoga is kampa yoga. What happened? Kampa yoga. See? Here avikampa yoga. What is avikampa yoga? There is no doubt whatsoever whether yogarato va bhogarato va sangarato va sangavihinaha yasya brahmani ramate chittam nandati nandati anandati eva. See the beauty. Whether you are all by yourself or you are in the midst of the din and roar of the battle of life, you are the same. Whether the water is existing as an innocent dewdrop or a monstrous ocean or a suffering wave, nothing happens to the water. It remains unchallenged. It remains uninfluenced. In the same manner, Bhagavan says, Etam vibhutim yogam cha mama yo veti tattvataha. Tattvataha means in essence. See, this word tattva has two words. One is tat means that, and the second is tvam means you. What is being said here about the reality, that reality is none other than you. This is not a story about Bhagavan Krishna. This is the story of you and me. See, when you look at an object, you look at the object. When you look at the mirror, you look in the mirror. And when you look in the mirror, you don't see the mirror, you see yourself. In the same manner, Bhagavad Gita is not a book of computer science. Take a mouse and click and curse the whole world. No. It is the subjective experience. Every word what is said here is said about every one of us. Doesn't matter who you are. And that is why the real scientific approach to life you can find in a text which is based on the scientific facts, not on the dogmas and catmas. One is dogma, isn't it? Which is supporting the dogs. Second is the catmas, supporting the cats. Therefore, throughout Bhagavad Gita, you will never see anywhere this book is meant for Hindus, this book is meant for women or the men or the Brahmins or the Kshatriyas. No, everywhere the teacher says Manavaha, human being. Yes, that is definitely said. The first requirement is you have to be human being. Doesn't matter what type of human being you are. Bhagavan says in one place, even if you are holding a doctorate in all the sins of the world, you are qualified to grow out of the shackles of relativity and come to discover the joy absolute that you are. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।